I think people always thought because I was like not combative or not like I'm not a fighter. I was always like happy when you talk to me that like I was good, and I was never good. Like I was never okay as soon as nobody was there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was what was, I don't know, just kind of weird that I always wanted to be sober, but I just couldn't figure it out for some reason for a long time.
What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the #1 mental health and addiction podcast, the Hopeaholics. I am your girl, Natalie Eva Marie, and these are my boys.
I'm Chad.
Hi, I'm Shane.
Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and follow us on our socials and wherever you get your podcasts.
Got a new episode dropping every Monday and Thursday. Please come check it out.
This episode is brought to you by the Infinity Group. You guys, if you or a loved one is suffering, please call us today. The number is right here on the screen. We are here for you 24/7. Now, let's get into the episode.
Shana, welcome to the Hopeaholics Podcast.
Yes.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, welcome. Really nice.
And this is Shane.
Shane.
Yeah.
This is good.
Well done, Shane.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That a boy.
You're welcome. Just throw me a treat. Throw me a fucking biscuit, you know?
No cussing within the first 6
shoot. Darn it. I've only
Way to
been doing
go.
this for 2 years.
Please.
Wow, man.
You know.
Can't cuss the first 6 minutes of the
Darn
podcast.
6 minutes? Why 6 minutes?
I don't know. It's Google's rule.
I don't even know if they really
Listen.
do it.
Follow the rule.
Yeah.
We typically don't, but we try to.
But they don't really listen, you don't think?
I mean, an AI listens to it.
Okay.
I'm sure it would probably give red flags if it was,
Too much.
Big words.
yeah, or constant.
Right.
So where are you from?
I'm from Michigan,
Michigan.
the Upper Peninsula, so like middle of nowhere.
So do you kind of speak like a Canadian?
Yes.
I don't know, do I?
Yeah. Michigan is part of Canada.
Do you say like, don't you know?
When I lived in Texas, what people always laughed at was bag, like a Walmart bag. They would.
Oh, yeah,
It sounds like
He
bag.
says that word
Yeah,
too.
bag. Yeah.
Bag?
Yeah.
She was saying,
Yeah.
she says beg. Like,
Yeah, they said
Bag?
it sounded like bag, like Walmart bag. Walmart
Oh,
bag.
I
But
didn't.
you guys say like bag, right?
Big.
Bag.
But
I've never realized.
wait,
that.
for a supermarket or for a
Walmart
grocery
bag.
store?
Supermarket bag.
Yeah, like a grocery bag.
Bag.
Oh,
We say bag, a grocery bag.
What do you guys say?
We say bag.
They say
Walmart bag.
They say beg,
Walmart
like
bag.
with it, like a BEG.
See,
Bag.
once you say it a lot of times, I feel like it blends all together.
Mm-hmm.
But when I just say it, people are like, "What did you say?"
Yeah.
She doesn't,
Every time.
she doesn't like her microphone very much.
I don't. I do want to just get away.
I prop my face up on it.
That's because you're gross.
And that's your microphone,
You
dude.
know,
Like,
that's all.
Don't you
that's-
feel like people can hear you breathing?
I don't. You know.
no,
Okay.
they can't.
No.
I mean, we can hear that, but
Yeah.
ASMR.
So you're from Michigan right now.
Well, I moved back to Michigan. About
What are you doing
3
in
years ago.
California?
I was doing sober companion work.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, so I own my own sober coaching business, and a lot of times I'll go do sober companion work or whatever.
A lot of stuff going down in Michigan. Big
Yeah.
population of needy people
Yeah.
that can't leave the state. Most of them have difficulties, right? With insurance-based problems.
no.
No?
Well, I don't know. I don't know about like if you're talking about that type. I don't know, but we get a lot of people from
Oh, really?
Michigan here in
I
our
was-
treatment center.
Oh, darn good. So things might have changed since I was working with Michigan people.
They just don't really authorize very long of stays.
treatment. 30 days. 30 days is like the.
That's a nightmare.
We have a treatment center that people go 30 days every 3 months.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
that's
it
never
just
good.
doesn't.
Yeah,
It's not
30
long
days
enough
is
to do much.
no. Well, how long have you been sober companion?
I actually started doing that about a year ago. I've worked in treatment for almost 20 years.
Oh, wow.
But I actually drank for a lot of that time.
Wow.
And alcoholically, right? Like I did a lot of time, I spent a lot of time lying about my use and things like that. And 3 years ago, I think I moved back to Michigan, which is my hometown. And it's like a small, teeny town. And I hated it with my whole heart. But I was not doing well. And I wanted like my kids to have my parents and whatnot. My daughter's dad had just passed away. So I ended up moving back home, and oddly enough, that was when I got sober.
Oh, wow.
How did the guy die?
He actually had a heart attack. He had never drank, used, done anything a
How old
day
was he?
in his life. He was 34, I
Wow.
believe.
Just a freak.
Yeah,
Just a freak accident, man.
he, to be honest, like just never had really been to the doctor, things like that. He had a genetic heart problem. He was a football coach, and he actually he was working out in the gym at the school, and they found him. He was already dead.
Oh, damn.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that was kind of part of how I ended up eventually getting sober. I'd already been to treatment like numerous times, and I was married to him for like over 10 years, and when he passed away, he was like the healthy one, right? I was already in the beginning stages of liver failure, so we would always, not that it was funny, but it was always like, well, when I die, you better take all these kids. And it was like he passed away, and I would always get sober, and I could never stay sober. So he passed away. I was drinking. I wasn't able to go to his funeral. And I always kind of prided myself. This is so crazy. Like I had my first daughter when I was 16 years old. So I was like, oh, I'm this single mom, and I've, always been a single mom and done it by myself. And I was always drunk. But that was the first time that like I sent my daughter to her dad's funeral with my dad, right? Like I didn't go because I was so drunk, and I didn't know how to not be drinking, because I would have had to detox and be getting on the plane and doing all these things. And I also didn't want everybody to see me like that, I guess. So I just I kind of abandoned her. And when she was coming back from the funeral, I called her and was like, well, I'm going to rehab. And she was like, again? like, why do you keep going to rehab? You're not doing, you don't stay sober. So why do you keep leaving? Because to her, it was just like, it's not like you're getting sober. It's like you're leaving. Why are you leaving again? So I ended up leaving, going to rehab for 30 days. I was in Kerrville, Texas. And I ended up relapsing there within like a week. And this was like during COVID. So I kept doing just, I guess, drinking and then trying to get sober again, drinking, trying to get sober. I would call into I had like 500 different jobs at the time. And I would call in, I have COVID, can't come.
Yeah.
And I just finally ended up packing all my stuff into our little car and just moved back home. And I had this friend who I've known since I was young, and he was like, I want you to come to an AA meeting with me. And I was like, absolutely not. Like I had just spent the last decade or so working in treatment, going to AA meetings all the time, going to rehab, whatever. And I would like work the steps, I would do all the things, and I felt like it helped me, but I couldn't figure out how to stay sober, right? I would always go home and it would be like me and my kids, and I would end up drinking. And so I like believed in AA, but I was like, it's not working. It's just not working. And he was like, well, we can get food first. And I was like, okay, I'll go out to eat. I'm going to go out to eat.
Yeah.
So I ended up going out to eat, and we went to this meeting. And at the meeting, I met someone there who had used medication to get sober. And he had been sober like 6 months, 8 months, something like that. And I had never heard of the Vivitrol shot or anything like that. I ended up taking it that week, and I have been sober ever since then. And I still use AA. I do like the 12 steps. All of that stuff is like super important to my mental health. But I needed something to like help slow down everything else, right? Like, I don't even know that it was cravings, but it was like this habit that I couldn't break when I was at home. Like stressful things would happen, whatever. It was just something I was used to. And I felt like I would be going to the store and like getting alcohol before I ever really thought about it, if that makes sense. Like people would be like, play the tape through. And I'm like, how? Like, who does that? I don't even know what that means. And when I got on medication, I was able to like take a second and think about things, right? Like I would think about going to the store and I'd be like, no, like last time you drank, this is what happened, right? And I ended up, this is funny too, I ended up dating the person who I met in AA, and we're married now. We've been married for 3 years, but we kind of like did the whole sober thing together, and we like were able to change our lives together, and it really like made a difference, you know, that having somebody there, and doesn't usually work out that way. I'm very aware of that.
Right.
You're like the 1%.
Yeah.
No, 100%. Like I would definitely not ever say to do that. But it was
Shane did it too, though. There's 2 people in this room that did it.
And I had in my home group out here, there was a couple that has now they probably have like 35 years of marriage, but they met in the rooms as well. But like it's very rare.
No,
it's such a
very,
rare thing.
What's funny is I think, and it sounds stupid to even say this out loud, but I think I spent like a majority of my time looking for love. And I would always go on like Tinder and whatever, go on these dates, and I would be sober. And I wouldn't tell people when I was like gonna go on a date or whatever that I was an alcoholic or that I was trying to be sober. And I feel like I left, like, you know how the book talks about like lurking notions and stuff like that. I feel like I left it open because I knew that I was too self-conscious and like shy to date or really talk to people without alcohol. But I didn't realize that until way after, right? So I would always be like, I'm not going to drink. And I would go on these dates and I would drink. And it was like I was always looking for like love because I had these kids, I had whatever, and I was like, what? I'm always by myself, right? And the one time that I had stopped, which I was like 3 baby daddies deep, and all of them were like the same exact person. So obviously it wasn't working out, but I had stopped because I was so sick, and I had just moved home, and I was like, what am I doing? Like I just was like, I guess I'm just gonna die an alcoholic. Like I don't know how to get sober. I feel like I had tried everything, or I felt like I had at the time. And when I stopped looking for like love, and that's what everybody says, right? And you're like, whatever, that's so stupid. But I started just like, I'm gonna try to work on myself, and I saw like a little bit of hope once I got the medication. And once I started to work on myself and actually like feel good about myself and started doing things that I wanted to do with my life, it was like things just started to fall into place, like good things, right? So I don't know how it worked out.
There's no magic pickers.
No.
No one has a magic picker, but people do have the law of attraction. And that's what life is. So whatever you are, wherever you are, whoever you are, whatever you're fucking doing, you're going to attract similar people.
Sure.
That's just the bottom line. That's the law of attraction. Is there another law?
Well, I think
There's the other law. There's the other. I don't know if it's a law, but there's the other one where it's sometimes the exact opposite of you. You often attract.
Yes,
as well.
that's.
Well, I also think that what
Or
is
you marry your mother, I guess, sometimes too.
Oh, I think it ultimately comes down to not looking for an individual or a vice to make you feel either loved or whatever or complete or whatever it is that you're lacking. It's like once you find that inner, you have to be comfortable with who you are, and then you're able to then hopefully find a partner that brings out the best in you as well,
Right.
because
Your
you're
good stuff, not your bad
okay
stuff.
within yourself. Where I think a lot of times we seek, whether it's drugs or alcohol or people to fulfill us or to make us happy, which ultimately that's never going to work, because you can't base your happiness upon anything else but yourself.
No, and that's completely true. I think, and that's why I said because I have 3 daughters and they have 3 different dads, and I say it as a joke, but it's real. They could be the same exact person with a different face, and that I'm not saying anything bad about them, but like me always choosing the same type of person because I was in that position where I felt like I didn't deserve a certain, like, I was always drinking, right? So like my house was trashed. I was super depressed. There was a lot of times that I didn't get out of bed, didn't shower. So like, I think that I felt some type of way about myself.
Sure.
And then I would get like dressed and go out and do all this stuff with these people. And I'm like, okay, but when they know me, like when they really know me, what are they going to think of me, right? Because behind closed doors, it's like real bad.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like not okay. And when you go around thinking that or feeling that, I think it's very, like, that is what you attract, you know? So I think when that started to change, when I actually did feel good about myself, when I could, like, have people at my house and, like, it's not trash. My kids could have friends over. I have, like, food in the fridge, not just liquor. I felt different about myself, right?
Do you have any siblings?
I do. I have 3 siblings, but they are all 10 years older than me. So
Oh, wow.
my parents were married before each other, and they both had, my mom had 2 girls and my dad had a son, and then they had me together.
Did you start, you said
You really can't rely on anyone but yourself. in
No,
the
you
end.
can't.
You can't. That's what I'm just saying. You really can't rely on it. In the end, you can't. No one is, because everyone has a bad day. So say I'm relying on X all the time and they're beautiful 300 days a year, but they can't be beautiful 365. They're going to have a bad day. They're going to be mean or miserable to me, and they're going to throw me off if I count on that person.
Well, that's why I'm saying you can't seek your happiness in others.
You really can't at all.
You have to be
not at
able
all.
Right.
to be good with yourself.
And if it comes, it comes. It's great. Bonus, she's nice to me. Great.
She's
You
nice
know,
to me.
or he's nice to me, or whatever.
When did your drinking start?
I would say around like 11 years old was the first time I drank. I actually drank a 40 of MDG and busted my tooth, and it's still busted. I've got
wow.
it fixed like 4 times. It just goes away because it's in the front.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, I was young, but I actually, like, I grew up in a town where I told you it was like a super small town in the Upper Peninsula, and it was like all white people, and I was mixed, and it was like super, a little bit weird for me, right? Like everyone I saw was like super small and like blonde hair, and I was like a woman when I was like 11. Like I was just like, you know, had the boobs, had the butt, I was thick, all of that. And I was like very, always felt like I was like big. And I wasn't at the time, I guess. But I ended up having, like, not doing super well in school. And my parents brought me to like the psychiatrist, and they diagnosed me with ADD, and I got put on Adderall when I was like 11. And so I'm 40. Well, I'm 39. And then Adderall wasn't like a known thing, right? It wasn't something that like a lot of people are on it now. But I remember my doctor telling me, like, if you have ADD, it'll work great and you'll get straight A's and it'll be like a magic pill. If you don't, nothing will happen. And I was like, okay, cool, whatever. So I just kind of walked around with my pill bottle, and when I started getting energy and getting straight A's and getting skinny and getting everything I wanted, I was like, okay, so if 1 gets me to this, then like 2 will be better and 3 would be great. And I think that was really the start of everything, because when I did start drinking, it was like I didn't get drunk like everyone else. Like I would drink everybody under the table at parties and everywhere we went. And at the time, that was
they'd all be passed out. Huh?
yeah, at the time that was great, right? Like it was like a little badge of honor. Like, oh, she doesn't even act like she's drunk. She can drive. She's fine. Like she, you know. And it wasn't that I wasn't drunk. It was just that I was on Adderall. A lot of it.
And I'll tell you something. I was reading this the other day. Pleasures, when they go beyond a certain limit, are but punishment. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been reading these last 9 days. So I like what she just said there because it's true. Even pure pleasure in excess is going to hurt you in the end. It doesn't matter. Even if it's good for you, it's going to end up bad.
And it did. I remember feeling like Adderall was like God himself had came down and like gave me a solution to every problem, because I was always so shy, y'all. Like, I remember sitting in class and like my teacher, my science teacher, Mr. Hiska, he was so mean. But he would like.
What was his name again?
Mr. Hiska.
We want Mr. Hiska.
Yes.
Stop it.
He was old then, so
He's
I
probably
don't know. But he would go around in the circle and like play this. It was called Hiska Bowl. Like, I'm not kidding. He would go around and pick each person, and you'd have to answer the question. And I would get in trouble before it ever got to me, because I couldn't even if I knew the answer, I was scared to say it out loud. I was scared that it wouldn't be the right. I wanted to go in the hall. So like, if you didn't get the answer right, you had to go in the hall. And I would just make sure I was in the hall before it ever got to me, because I was so scared. And when I got on Adderall, like, I knew all the answers. Like, I would read and read and read, and I would get straight A's, and I never like ate. So I got down to like 100 pounds, and like, I felt like all of that was great at the time. And then it wasn't after a while, right?
When did it start having like a negative effect on you?
So I ended up getting pregnant when I was 16. I moved in with her dad, and I think that like he was 22, so he would like go out and drink and do whatever, and I was like at home with the baby. So I think like I tried my hardest to be like this like good mom, like to prove to everybody like I could graduate still and I could be a good mom and all this stuff. And so like I would just take the pills and drink wine from like 7 a.m. in the morning to really just always all day, right? Like, some people, when they talk about like their alcoholism or whatever, they're like, oh, there's a part where I wouldn't drink until after 5. And I don't know that I ever remember that, because as soon as I was able to be on my own, and I was like living with somebody as a teenager, and we had a baby, and there was like all this fighting, and like alcohol was like a out right away. Like, and Adderall was like you can get up even if you're hungover and do the stuff you got to do anyway. So I feel like it was out of control real quick, but I was still functioning.
Sure.
But I knew, like, I definitely drank and used differently than like people around me, if that makes sense. Like, at noon, I was like, okay, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, why are we here? What are we doing? Is there alcohol? If not, I should be at home because there's alcohol. And that's kind of like how it was for a long time.
And then when did you get
I got married. So I ended up we got in an argument, me and my daughter's dad, and he ended up going to jail or whatever for domestic violence, and we broke up. And I ended up moving into student housing in college. Like, I just literally went from, I graduated high school, I went to summer school at college, and I moved into family housing, and I ended up meeting my second daughter's dad there. And we were together, I think, 2 years, and I ended up getting pregnant with my second daughter. And I think we got married when I was like 21. So I had 2 kids before I was like old enough to drink. Yeah. And we got married when I was 27, I think. We were together for a long time.
Okay. Is he the one that passed?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the first dad, he's still around?
Yes. Yep. He actually lives in my hometown.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How did you start working in sober living?
So after, so I was married for all of those years. It was like it's a pretty rough marriage. Like, it was pretty bad. And everybody kind of like in my family and I guess my friends, everybody was like, she drinks because of him, like because he's not a great husband or whatever. And I guess I really thought that too. I don't know why, because I'd always drank, but I guess because it started going like downhill, right? Like I wasn't able to keep things together as much. So I guess that like being depressed and not being in a good situation, it was like, oh, well, it's him. Well, I ended up filing for divorce and I moved to Texas with my kids, and my parents had like a winter home there. So I was just like, okay, well, I'll go there. And I moved into their house, and I ended up getting a job at a treatment center there. And it's funny because I got a job at the treatment center and I was like, oh, like, this is going to save me, right? Like, I'm going to learn all this stuff about alcoholism and whatever, and I'm going to like get better then, right? And I did. I learned all the stuff, and I was able to like help a lot of people. Like, I loved working in treatment. And when I was sober, I was great, right? When I wasn't, there was like a lot of shame and a lot of calling in and like blaming it on my kids and whatever else. And I don't know. It was just like I spent 10 years there, and like I worked with some of my best friends, and like they didn't even know me, right? Like they didn't even know I drank. And I was like literally in bed 80% of the time throwing up in Walmart bags. Like, but they didn't have any idea. So.
A Walmart what?
Walmart
What did she say?
Bag.
Walmart bag.
Oh, interesting.
Did I not tell you it would come out? It would come out and you would be like, what?
It was perfect.
Wait, so had you tried to get sober prior to
Working in treatment?
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew it.
Yeah, so I went to treatment.
Because not everybody is like, oh, let me just go work in treatment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
no.
that makes sense. Like you trying to get sober, it's almost like a...
Yeah, so I went to a treatment a year before I got divorced, and oh my God, it was so bad. It was like a religion-based treatment. It was a 6-month program. You had to wear like skirts down to your ankles. You had to like look at the ground when men were in the room. It was like very super religious program, and it was based really just around like the Bible, and like they kind of did their own 12 steps, but like based around the Bible and God and stuff like that. And I don't know, I was like gung-ho, like I'm gonna be sober. And my first daughter's dad had filed for custody while I was in treatment that time, and I was like, okay, like I'm done, like I'm not getting my kids taken away. I got home and I was drunk before I ever went to the court hearing, and I had this like talk with my husband at the time, like, okay, like I'm just gonna go get like just like Mike's Hard Lemonade. And he was like, yeah, okay, just drink like 1 or 2. Just 1 or 2 is fine. You just can't be drinking like you used to. And I was like, perfect. I don't know if I've ever drank a Mike's Hard Lemonade in my life or why I thought of that. And I don't even remember like the whole next week. But I went to my court hearing, and it was like already decided what the custody would be, that we just got to keep like half and half or whatever. And he had wanted like full custody, but the judge was like, I'm not going to penalize her for like asking to go to treatment. Like had she been made to go to treatment, it would be different. But so
Were you sober at the court date?
It was morning. I hadn't drank yet. I think that my fear would have been like actually having to go in front of the judge and like have that court hearing. I think that I ended up lucky, like I did a lot of times for many years, that things just kind of worked out and we just had to go in front of the judge to like sign the paperwork. But had I had to do the actual court hearing, I don't know that it would have turned out that way.
Yeah.
So then after that, that's when you decided to go ahead and move to Texas?
Yeah, it was about like a year after that. I ended up moving to Texas and ended up working at the treatment center and all of that. And I think I don't know. I tried really hard to like be sober during that time, but it was like I said, every time I would drink, it would turn into 4 weeks, right? Like where I don't even know where it went, like where the time went. And I would make it to like maybe 2 months, or because people would be like, how did you stay working in treatment for that long? And they didn't notice. And I don't know that they didn't notice. I think that they loved me so much, and I had such periods of good times that like when I wasn't doing well, it was easy for them to like be like, oh, she's going through something, or it wasn't automatically like she's drunk, right? But I sometimes I'm not sure how I made it that long. Mm-hmm. But I did end up getting fired on the toilet. It was right after I found out that my ex-husband passed away. I called in and I was like on the toilet on the phone. I don't know. I have no idea. And they were like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "No." And I just like ended up hanging up. And then one of the guys who worked with me for like a long time, he was like the director there, I think. His name was Chad. And
That's my name.
he ended up, Chad Lencher, he ended up sending me like information for a bus ticket. And I was like, I don't have any money. I don't have anyone to watch my kids. Like, I can't. And he was like, well, you don't have a job. So like you have to, you might as well just go. So I ended up going to treatment. That was when I went to treatment in Kerrville.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. They ended up scholarshiping me to go there.
Oh, wow. And then where were the girls?
The girls went with my parents. So my parents like wintered in Texas. They would spend the winter there. So it was time for them to come anyways. So they ended up taking them. And when I got out of treatment, I moved to Kerrville, like thinking this is going to be great and I'm going to be sober. And it's like a sober town, right? Like everybody there is sober. And when I relapsed, it was like mean girl high school. Like everybody was like, how could you? And I was like, well, isn't that what people do? I don't know. But it was very like, I had all these friends and then I didn't have any friends because I relapsed. So I was there for like a few more months and I would drink like on and off. I would get like a job and work for a little bit and call in sick or whatever. And then I ended up going to the doctor because I was super sick. And they said that I had like the beginning stages of liver failure. So I was like at that time, I was like, my ex-husband had just passed away and I had tried to get sober so many times. I was like, it's never going to happen. Like, I'm going to end up dying like this, you know? And that's really what I went home for, is just so like my kids would have somebody when something happened to me. Because I was like, I felt like I had tried everything and I really wanted to get sober. I feel like a lot of times people say like, if you do the steps or you go to AA and you don't get sober, like you don't want it bad enough. Like you don't want it bad enough, you're not ready. And I'm like, dude, like I sat in treatment for 6 months this time. I sat in treatment for 4 months this time. I would be like the gold star at treatment. Like I would go into my counselor's office and we would always end up just talking about like what I'm going to do after treatment, right? Like I never even really talked to them about anything deep or I actually went to therapy like a year ago and it like lifted so much off my shoulders. I was like, this is what therapy's like? I had no idea. Like, I think people always thought because I was like not combative or not, like I'm not a fighter. I was always like happy when you talk to me that like I was good, and I was never good. Like I was never okay as soon as nobody was there. Mm-hmm. So I think that was what was, I don't know, just kind of weird that I always wanted to be sober, but I just couldn't figure it out for some reason for a long time until I did. And when I did, it just like clicked. So I don't know.
I mean, I think all of us can relate to a lot of the stuff that you're talking about. The feelings, the struggle. The struggle is real. You know, I can go back all the way back to you being the shy kid in school. I found meth instead of Adderall.
Right.
Very similar, right?
Yeah.
Same family. And it was the deal.
It's
It
the
was
same family for sure, bro. Meth is the big uncle. Big bad uncle.
Yeah, I mean, Adderall is
It's
Right there.
it is an amphetamine
Yep.
salt.
It-
That's what it
It
is.
hits the same thing.
Yeah.
It's an amphetamine.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's amphetamine
Yeah.
salt. Meth
All
is
it is.
just meth amphetamine.
Amphetamine. Yeah.
And yeah, so I could relate to all of that, and then struggling, man, and it's good to hear where you're at now.
Yeah.
That it finally clicked, and it takes whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Some people expect that we get it right off the bat by just going to an AA meeting because they did, and that's not the reality. That's like, again, that's 1% of the people go to one AA meeting and they're like, and it clicks.
Right.
I'm a big 12-stepper, believer in the 12 steps. I love the 12 steps, but I believe that there's many other paths, and whatever works for an individual works for them, and we all got to get to that point where of complete surrender, I think, is the point that we have to come to. Like, okay, I'm done trying to figure it out on
Right.
my own.
I think that's what really happened when I went home, because I had really run away from my hometown, right? I was getting divorced, and it got real small. And I had just really like run away. And for me to be like, okay, like I have no idea what I'm doing anymore, and I don't have a solution. Even to this day, like I'm a fixer. Like, you can come at me with 500 problems and I'll solve them all in a second, right? Like, I'm very like, do this, do this, do this, do this. And I just had nothing, right? Like, I was like, and I've always really believed in God and like had a super strong faith, but it was something that I like just couldn't kick. I just couldn't figure it out. I couldn't get rid of it. And I finally was just like, I have nothing. Like, I don't have an idea. I don't want to go to treatment again. And it's nothing against treatment, because I think treatment is amazing. But what I think is you got to go home to yourself. So like when you don't have super good aftercare, or you don't take things home with you, and you just go home and do the same exact thing you've always done, you're going to get the same exact result, right?
Yeah.
And I think that that's where like AA comes in for me too, is like, I know a lot of people that are sober and like super miserable, right?
Yeah.
So I think that AA is a huge part of my life, or even just like the 12 steps and the work that I've done in the 12 steps helped me to like change my life once I got sober and become the person I want, right? Like not have a whole bunch of resentments, and learn how to forgive people and things like that, and even forgive myself, right? So I think that it does have a huge part in my life. But I think there's this like conception sometimes that like you just do this and this is how you get sober. And if it doesn't work, then I don't know, you just don't want it, right? But like we're all different people, and I think it can take different things, and it can take time. And I just think that sometimes we like give up on people, or people give up on themselves before the miracle happens, right? I think that anybody can get sober, but it can take time, more time than you want it to sometimes.
Oh, for sure. I totally agree. I think that everybody has to come to like their certain bottom or whatever point of desperation of whatever that may be. And we obviously here definitely think like sobriety for people is so many different ways. Like there's not one way or a one size fits all type deal.
There's 10 roads.
It's a million.
I took all 10.
There's a million.
I took all million. I don't care how many they were. I took them all.
But the main one,
I needed them all.
but the main one is to consistently get back up and try again.
Nice.
Because hope
There you go.
is there.
Consistency.
Because people do recover and people can get well regardless of where you're at
Yeah.
or how bad you feel, or you think that you're a lost cause, because you're not. Because I met tons of people that are in sobriety and live a happy, joyous, peaceful life, but their recovery is very, very different than mine. And that's okay. And that's like really important for people to know, that there is not just this one way. But what I did take from your story, what I think is so important, and I think a lot of people kind of can say the same thing once you kind of start kind of getting it, is when you were in treatment with your therapist, you kept thinking like future tripping.
Yeah.
That's a problem, because we are the problem. So until last year when you went to therapy, you started to unpack your shit, your stuff. And I think that's what is so helpful for all of us in recovery, is because we drink and use to get out of ourselves, to not feel things, or to not have to work through things, or not have to deal with emotion, because it's messy and you don't want to feel certain types of feelings, or look at the mistakes that we might have caused, or people that we might have hurt, or poor decisions that we have made. Those are the types of things that aren't the funnest to actually take a look at and dissect, and then really kind of get down to the nitty-gritty of why that occurred. And there's multiple reasons of why certain things happen in our lives, but honesty is always the true thing that always kind of is the pillar of true recovery, I feel like, with the majority of people, because we're really good liars and we're really good manipulators.
I think that's part of it too, is like I spent so much time lying like, about who I was, what I was doing. Even if like I always went back to like my intentions were good,
Sure.
right? Like that's not what
Totally.
I meant to do, but that's what I was doing for so long. So,
And the
like,
facade, like what I'm picking up is that like, you're a fixer helping others or pretending you're good, but then behind closed doors, it's like, you're a mess, you're disheveled, my house is a mess. And
Kind
that's
of a lost cause. I think people are lost causes, bro. I'm sorry.
They're not lost causes.
They are at times. I was a lost cause of some of
No
my
one's
life.
a lost cause.
Well,
I don't like that word.
What I'm saying is this. I go, it's okay to say you're a lost cause. Let's try something else. There's nothing wrong
No,
with
it's
that.
okay to say that you're
It's
a mess.
okay to, whatever,
mess.
however you want to say it.
And I don't like myself.
Yeah, however you want to say it.
I get it though, because like I get what you're saying, because I felt hopeless. Like I felt like at a time like it was a lost cause.
And these things are okay.
And I don't even know if I definitely didn't think it was okay. I just didn't know how to make it go away. And I also, like, when we talked about like the therapy and stuff like that, I didn't know I had anything to unpack. Like, I promise you, I would say all the time, even when I first met my husband, people with like alcoholism and addiction, like they usually have a lot of trauma. I don't have any trauma. Like I don't have anything that happened. Nothing went wrong. My parents are great. Like everything's amazing. And I actually like talked to this therapist. It was supposed to be about like weight loss stuff. That was how it started. And she was like asking me questions about my childhood and like just kept asking me. And she was like, girl, that's a whole lot of trauma. Like,
well, yeah, you carry that 11-year-old girl that looks different than everybody else and that feels bigger than the other girls that are in your class. You're carrying that insecurity with you longer than you even realize in your subconscious, without you knowing that that's what's actually carrying you later on.
And like things that happened with my parents and like in my household, I didn't remember or think, not that I didn't remember, I like shut the door and didn't think about it because my parents helped me so much.
Sure.
Once I had kids and I was an alcoholic, they were doing the same. I was going to say Captain Save-A-Ho. They were doing the saving me all the time. So I like shut the door on everything before that, like there was like a lot of stuff that was like not so great. And that was because they were like learning and going through their own thing, just like what I went through with my kids, right? My kids are going to have a whole lot of therapy to go through because of like me and what I did, right? So I think that I just wanted to pretend like that didn't happen because I love my parents and they would do anything for me. And I just was like, I didn't even look at it until I started talking about it. And I also thought like trauma's like, you know, like you've been to war or like something. I didn't realize like the smaller things that like, there's a lot, right? Like life is hard. And I think when I started to talk about a lot of that stuff, like I started to actually understand, like my therapist was like, yo, your mom's nervous system was dysregulated from the time that you were born. And that gave you like some dysregulation, right? Like as far as anxiety and things like that at a super young age and trying to self-medicate that, right? So it was just stuff that I didn't ever look at it or didn't even know contributed.
Sure. It's tough.
It is. It's weird. It's like you don't know until you know. Like you don't know what happened. But what I will say is that I really thought like when I moved back home and I'm going back to this town that I hate, I lost my job that I loved even though I was miserable, right? I really was like, I'm throwing everything away and I'm either going to like die or I'm going to be living in this town miserable, right? And truthfully, like I spent some years working as a 911 operator. I got sober. And I started like working with women to help them get sober. And like this last year, I've been able to travel all over and do that. And like, I really have gotten back all of that plus more. So like, it's just crazy that once you do surrender and once you are able to get sober, it's like your life really, it can be so much better than like this stuff that you're so scared to give up. Like people are like, I don't want to go to treatment. I have a job. I have this. I have the, yeah. And you're going to lose it in the end anyway. Like if you don't get help, if you don't get better, all that stuff ends up, it's not there anyway, right? Like, and when you get better, you get sober, you get healthy, you can have whatever you want, right? Like you can get whatever you want then.
Lewis, mark all that as a reel. That's good.
What?
I just had to mark that
Got you.
so we could cut it.
I was like, wait, what does that mean? No, but really though, it's like you talk to women and they're like, well, I can't right now. I can't do this. I can't. You're going to end up having to do it because like it doesn't get better.
No, it gets worse and you're going to die.
If you're
lucky.
If you're truly an addict or an alcoholic, or an alcoholic, whatever, it always gets worse, never better.
100%.
It's a progressive disease, and the end result is always the same. It's always the same. You know, we either stop it and get better, or we end up in jails, institutions, or worse, we die.
And that's real because like every time that I did have like a little bit of sober time under my belt and I would drink, it was like I'd be like worse than I was the last
for sure.
time. And I'm like, what even? And the last time that I got sober, it was like it wasn't even my worst time, right? It wasn't like the worst. That week was not the worst week of my life. But it was like it was just time. You know, but I think a lot of times we're like, we don't want to let go of all the stuff. You know, there's that meme where that girl's like holding her little teddy bear and like God's trying to take
Oh yeah, I
it from
love
her.
that meme.
Yeah.
And he has the big ass one behind his back.
Behind him. I feel like that is like exactly my life. And it took me 20 years to see that, right? Like there was so much more behind just like letting it go and like saying, you know what? Like, you're not a perfect single mom. It's like very clear. You're the only one that's like pretending that everything is okay. You know what I mean? And I think when I let that go, my actual potential, and I think we even talked about that earlier, like addicts and alcoholics that get sober, there's like nothing like that drive in the world. Like they do such big things.
For sure.
Yeah, some of them even wrestle in the WWE. That's pretty freaking cool.
I told her my daughter is obsessed with her. I was like, this is like a fangirl second, but my daughter, she's 18 now, and she's like always watched her and the Bella twins.
which is amazing. It's so awesome. It's cool.
So cool.
It
She was
is
so
pretty cool.
excited.
I know. How's your relationship with your girls now?
Okay, so another honest moment, right? Because we just got to be honest. I will tell you that my relationship with my older two girls was so much easier when I was drunk. But it will be, and it is getting better now. But there's like a huge transition because my kids grew up with me. I was 16 when I had my first daughter. I was like 20 when I had my second daughter, and they watched me
Sure.
be an alcoholic my whole life. And how did I make up for that? They can have and do whatever they want. Like, I'm a yes, just so you're not mad at me. And in sobriety, as things get different, that's been hard, right? Like, I don't just say yes to everything. Like, I have an opinion, can't just be mean and I'm just going to forget it because I was blacked out. Like, so I think that, and also I think that all the stuff that they watched and they dealt with, they were super protective over me when I was drinking. Like, my parents would come over and they would be like, you're drunk again. Like, we're taking the kids. And they would be like, we're not leaving her. Like, they were super protective over me. And I think when I got healthy, they could say the things that they felt and
Sure.
they could tell me how things affected them, and they knew I would still be okay, right? Like, I could handle it. So there's been a lot of like hard conversations. There's a lot of stuff that they remember that I don't remember. Like, it's just, it's a lot. Like, I got 3 girls. Girls are a lot anyway. But I just say this because I really thought, like, I'm going to get sober and it's going to be some like dream relationship. There's like a lot of healing.
For sure.
There's a lot of healing that has to be done. And there's a lot that my kids have gone through, right? Like, my 18-year-old, her dad passed away. I wasn't there. I was an alcoholic her whole life. Like, there's a lot, right?
How old is your oldest?
22.
22.
And when I moved back to Michigan, she was 17, about to turn 18, and she stayed with her boyfriend. And she stayed with her boyfriend in San Antonio. And I talked to her, like, when I was like a year sober, I think. And she was like, do you know why I stayed? And I was like, no. I mean, yeah, because you had a boyfriend. And she was like, I just wanted quiet. Like, I just wanted no drama. Like, I just wanted it to be quiet. I didn't want to have to deal with, fix anything anymore. Like, raise my other, like, I have a 9-year-old. So I had a baby at that, like, when I lived in Texas with them. Who do you think took care of the baby? Not so much me,
Right.
So I think that they had a lot of responsibility on them, like, from the time they were young. Even my oldest raised her sister, right? My 18-year-old a lot, right? So I think it's just a lot of emotion, a lot of stuff to unpack. But I will say that when we get to the other side, and we're like getting there, we'll be better for it, right? And it'll be a better real relationship, not like a codependent alcoholic relationship, which is not, it was not healthy to begin with, right? It was like it was like us 4 girls, and we were all codependent and not healthy. And so I guess we're just learning to be healthy.
Yeah, that's where the whole point of or the whole not point the whole thing about how we call the addiction and alcoholism a family disease, right? Because it affects the whole entire family, and people slip into different roles within that family. Like, they all they all played their own role, and now you're healthy, right? Which is great. And they have work that they have to do. They have unpacking that they have to do as well. I like that you were open and honest about the fact that, it's going to take some work. And because I want, like, our audience to hear and see somebody walking through this, because there is somebody else out there that's listening to this podcast today that is in the midst of what you're going through, you've already gone through, and what you're going through. It's one of the things that I always say on the podcast is it's easier, and when we're stuck in the pain and in the shame and the guilt and all of that, it's easy to be stuck there.
Right.
But listening to you just right now, and I'm going to ask you this question: have you found that it's easier to walk through it than to be stuck in it?
I definitely have. I will say that walking through it, having like teenage kids and things like that, it's a long journey, because I think teenage years are just hard anyways, right?
sure.
Like if I was like
100%.
a grade A perfect mother, teenage years still suck. Like it's hard. They're going through a lot already without all my added baggage, right? But there were many times, because my oldest daughter wasn't talking to me for almost a year. Just recently, like, we started to like work things out and stuff. And I think during that time, and I've said this because it's been like a super amazing year. Like, I opened my business. I just like grew so much, and it's been like a super amazing year. But I think that was like probably like the most hurtful thing. Like, I'm gonna cry. Not speaking to her, right? So I think that like there were times where I was like, if you drink, that would be so much easier to like, but I'm not at that place anymore where that even sounds like fun or a good idea. Or it's like, in the end, when she is speaking to me, am I going to be any help to her if I'm not sober?
Yep. No, you won't. You wouldn't be.
So, easy to walk through? No. But glad I did? Yes. Yeah. But I think, like, it's good to say, like, you can make it through things and stay sober. Like, it's not going to be perfect when you get sober. But it's, like, so good. And, like, so many things are so good. So you just kind of got to do it, right? Like, life's not going to be perfect all the time.
But you being vulnerable and you letting it out, and you speaking your current situation of what is transpiring, and like, that's what sobriety is. Because you have to think, like, it's a beautiful thing. It's painful for sure, because I can only imagine, I don't have children, but I can only imagine not speaking to my mom for a year. But then sometimes it's things that we have to walk through because of the wreckage that we have caused previously from being in our addiction. And now you're walking through that sober. She's also being able to watch you walk that. And then that relationship for sure is going to mend. And what also is happening is, without even her knowing, she's going to be healing through this time as well, which, thank God, because if you were to pick up, who knows how long her own or your other girls, how long their emotional trauma or whatever it is that they had to kind of go through continues on or spills into their adulthood, where you're already mitigating that by being open to giving her what she needs. And that's tough on you because you're obviously wanting to speak with her, especially for that first year. But you gave her that space to be, and now slowly that relationship starts to mend day by day.
And she's also like, my daughter's very, like, she's seen me go through like so many bad relationships and stay for very long times, right? When I should have left and things like that. So she is very like, like, she will cut you off in like a second, and she's not like confrontational. So like, I also know that like where she heals is like in space, right? It's not going to be like an argument or like, because I'm just like, can we just argue and be done and be over it or whatever it is. But
Here's the
that's
thing.
not
We have
how
to
it
be
works.
okay no matter what. The daughter might never come around. The son might never come around. The father might never come around. The uncle might never come around. But as long as we're okay with ourselves and God, and we've done the appropriate behaviors to try to resolve that conflict,
Right.
in my personal religion, you have to apologize 3 times. If in those 3 times it's not accepted, the onus then falls on the other person, and you are completely in God's eyes forgiven. And the other person is now not forgiven in God's eyes. And they have to make the amends. In the 12 steps, I know once you make the amends, it says, what does it say? They might say, get out of here.
They might tell you to
hell.
fuck off.
Exactly.
And if they tell you to fuck off, that's okay. A good sponsor will tell you that that's okay.
There you go.
Because the only important thing
Yeah.
is that your side of the street
it.
is clean.
That's what's going to keep you normal.
That's it.
Yep.
Which is just dealing with cleaning up all of your
it.
nonsense that you
Bingo.
caused. That's
Wreckage.
it.
And eventually people
Yeah.
come around. And I mean, I've seen like dads who were heroin addicts and went to prison for the majority of their
Right.
child's lives.
There
and,
you go.
And literally 20 years later,
They're friends.
they have a relation, but it took
Yeah.
20 years of
Yes.
sobriety
100%. There you go.
for that to happen.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro.
Because it takes what
I
it
agree.
takes.
I agree.
And people heal when they heal.
Yeah.
The only thing that we can do is continue to keep our side of the street clean. Because if we don't,
There's no chance.
there's no chance.
No chance.
Right. I
There's-
think at first for me, it was like, all you guys ever wanted was for me to get sober, and now I'm sober and you don't even know me.
Right.
Like, but when I actually like look at it, it's like, I think that we both had so much growing to do. And you're right. Like whether she comes around, doesn't come around, whatever, I have to be okay. And I think I had to also learn like, not just about like men, right? But
Yeah.
like my relationships with my daughters were like not healthy, right? Like you're the parent, like you're not, they're not the
Sure.
parent, like those type of things. And I think like in early sobriety, there was so much changing that happened. And I think that was like super confusing for them. Even my daughter that's 18 now, she would be like, what are we, like the freaking Brady Bunch now all of a sudden? Like it used to be, my house would be trashed and I would be like, here, like, let me pay you to clean.
Yeah.
Like, let me do this. Let me, it was like always, I was always giving them something so that they would just be quiet about what I was doing. And when it wasn't like that anymore, I think everybody was super confused about their rules.
Sure.
Or their roles. And I mean,
And
of
the
course
rules.
they are. Yeah.
And the rules.
And
Everything
the rules.
changed.
They're like, wait a minute, I can't like
Yeah.
be disrespectful. No, like I'm not giving you like my car if you're being mean or whatever. And before it was like, well, mom's not going to remember or whatever. So things have changed. But what I learned out of this whole thing is like, I have to be sober and okay no matter what happens, right? And it's funny because there was times where like during this whole thing where I was like, I would love to be drunk, but it's like not even really an option anymore. And I think that's the first time in life that I've felt that way. And that was super cool. Like I always used to say when I first met my husband, like, I think I'm one of those people who could never be sober forever because I feel like I always mess it up. And he was like, you need to stop saying that. Like, why do you say that out loud? And I'd be like, I don't know. I just feel like it's true. I've never been able to keep sober. And then like I got 3 years in November and it's like, I don't know. It's almost like it's just not a thing anymore, right? Like it's not part of the equation. And that's like a really good place to be.
Yeah, definitely.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming down.
Yeah.
and sharing-
Great hour.
Yeah, sharing
really nice.
your.
Minus the tears.
No,
No,
the
that's
tears
the-
is so good because
That's the best
I don't
part.
want I love that because I think people also have the fallacy of going into treatment for 30 days or 60 or even 90 and thinking that they're going to come out and their life is all of a sudden going to flip like a switch and things are all going to be better because they have either the 30, 60 or 90
Right.
hopefully, but that's not even the case. That's you're just starting to
Like
begin.
very beginning.
And it's it's good to listen to someone like yourself talk about not only the amount of times that you had tried, but also where you are now in sobriety of trying to reestablish relationships with your own girls, and knowing that it doesn't just because mom now is sober, like all is well. It's like, no, that's not how life works. Right. It's like, yes, thank goodness mom is sober and healthy and doing a lot better, but things don't just snap back and all of a sudden we have all the things that we hope and wish for. It's like there has to be a lot more work required, and that is just on a daily basis, and that's it. And then, sure, hopefully in due time, and it's always at the right time, things start to all of a sudden materialize. And then that's when it's like, oh my goodness. The thing is like, if we're sober and we stay sober, you have a fighting chance. You have a chance to rekindle that relationship. You pick up, you don't.
Right.
And that's like the weight of kind of all of our situations. Mm-hmm. So I think it's amazing because people need to hear that sobriety is beautiful, but it also is, it's a constant work.
It's definitely work, but it's definitely worth it. I feel like life is work anyways, right? Like,
for sure.
I feel like life is probably work for normies too, right? I think.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think so.
Definitely.
Of course.
For sure.
Everyone grinds.
I know, but I think that I think we're
I
think that we're the lucky ones because we actually have a toolbox.
Right.
Because a lot of people, I feel
normal
like
people have toolboxes.
They don't open them.
Some
I
of them
like
do.
the 3 apology thing though. I'm gonna keep that.
The what?
The 3 apologies. I like
Oh yeah,
that.
yeah. Some of them open them. A lot of them do. You know, some of them abuse them.
True.
For a week or two, and then they go back to life.
Sure. True.
Yeah.
But good for you.
Yeah, good for you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Good for you.
you.
Keep on
And
going.
tell all your girls I say hello.
Yeah.
Oh, I will.
Yeah, for sure.
Yay.
Awesome.
Amazing.